texted Louis, didn't get anything, so might as well just get started because I know Vicky can't make it, and who else? I'm missing something.
Just Aaron and Lydia.
That's it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought we had 7. Brain fog moment for a second there. Okay. Yeah, so I don't expect this to take too long. Mostly just me trying to run over some stuff that come up in the past week or so, and it's also main points are in the agenda, which is also linked to in a Google Doc. So on Monday, I filed with Board of Elections and with County. So on Sunday, Louis and I got the paperwork notarized and all that, all signed. I dropped one copy off at the Board of Elections. I mailed a copy by a certified mail to County. So far, according to the tracking receipts, the county has not yet picked it up. Louis is jumping on a second. So because I guess there's no one at the office. I have a copy in the last copy. Most of you probably know Tiffany Burt, the deputy executive director, coworker of mine, so I dropped it off with her at her office. So that's all taken care of. Also, I emailed a copy to Emmanuelle, the executive director. He emailed me back and said that he asked if this was a new or updated version, and I said I would assume it counts as updated since all we changed was officers. However, I said it would not should not actually apply because there is precedence with our ADC having meetings, because he said it has to be within 10 days after the reorganizing meeting of the county committee. And I said the ADC reorganizing meeting in 2021 was 5 months after, and previous to that, in the 2019 one was about 3 or 4 months after. I've not gotten any reply there, so I think we're good. But if not, we'll handle that when we get there. If absolutely necessary, I have also retained counsel for us, a friend of mine who is trying to get into election law, who is not a member. He's also someone who is not on the ADC, so there's no conflict there, since we know that there are a few election attorneys on our ADC.
I assume that you retained them for free.
Yeah.
Okay, since we don't have any money.
Yes.
Or we don't have any income.
I told him I may need your help in case something comes up. He says, sure, no problem. So
is it Howard?
What?
Is it Howard?
It's not Howard.
Oh.
Actually, Rachel, you probably know him. Muhammad Alam.
Who?
Taz Alam.
I know that name. He was involved 1 or 2 years ago, right?
No, he was never in our ADC or anything like that.
No. And other stuff, I saw his name come up on a couple of the lawsuits in the state Supreme Court.
Yes, he actually is.
Yeah.
His firm, Hodgson Russ, is the outside counsel for the state Senate. So they are defending right now with some of the last year it was the absentee voting case, and then this year it's now with the lawsuit or the new law that allows for vote early by mail. So he's a friend of mine from Young Dems.
Sorry about my phone barking in the background. I'm gonna mute.
As we said, Rachel, I think we said just before you jumped on, we're dog friendly in this group, so. So then there are a few vacancies that are going to come up. So while we were all doing the organizing, I learned from Emmanuelle Ameroso. She has moved to Colorado, so she is automatically off because change of voter registration. Dara Adams, she submitted a resignation due to work, and basically had to fax it over because there was no returns to phone calls or emails or anything from the county office. The only thing else that she could do would probably send by certified mail. Benjamin Solotaire, he has moved out of district, so he is automatically off. And then there are 2 that are possibly forthcoming. One is Marisa Biaggi. she emailed me after I sent out the survey, saying that she doesn't think that she can devote the time, and she would prefer someone else who has a little more, would be a little more active to take her spot. I explained to her sort of what happened with Dara, and said how she may have to submit some letter of resignation via certified mail to county as the only way to get off of county committee. So she's going to be looking at that. Then the other case is similar with Mary Sue Ballou. I may be pronouncing that name wrong. She claims that she never gave permission to be on county committee. Based on my research, I think she was part of the IND slate. So she probably spoke to Joan Millman or Joanne Simon, but I'm not totally positive. Of course, it's over a year ago. I also told her, send a certified letter to county. She says that's too much work. And she was ED 15, and that was one of the few election districts that actually did have primaries last year. And she was elected. So I do know she lives like a block away from the district. So I'm not sure if she was aware that she was a candidate or not, but I did also tell her you could also just be completely idle, and
I mean, people resigning doesn't affect any of the filings or anything for the ADC, right?
No.
I would just let them. I don't know. I don't even think it's worth too much effort. If they're inactive till the next round,
I agree. Mary Sue also said that she would prefer someone else who is a little more active to take her spot. I said, we can't fill this vacancy until you resign. So forthcoming on that, with all that. So there is also something I think, like, I know Alyssa and Steve, I'm pretty sure you know about this. I'll let the rest of y'all know. One of the things that we discovered, or Aaron discovered when we were helping organize everything for our reorg, is following the reorganization meeting of the county committee last year, it looks like the county party never submitted the people who were uncontested from the Rep Your Block and IND slates.
Right.
Of course, there was some back and forth there.
I was wondering what is it that I have knowledge of, and that's it, because I was on that.
Yeah. So far it doesn't look like a problem, but we may just need to do a pro forma vote at our next ADC meeting to say, hey, everyone who actually petitioned all that, be the only one to hear who vote, that we're recertifying all these people, and then we have to do via backfill. That may just be the best solution, this way everything is legal, and then we just send it off to the Board of Elections. Because I don't want anyone just being kicked out on a technicality for obvious reasons.
And I'm sure that's never happened before.
Yeah, and one of the things I explained also similarly to Marisa and Mary Sue is how wouldn't be surprised if the poor record keeping is also related to how hard it is also to resign. Because there is, I've checked the county rules, there is no provision for resignations. Which, one of those great things to have, or not have, I guess. Most of y'all probably know I built up a quick website for us since our previous secretary, Travis Pham, built one for us and then basically bounced, pieced out. He also actually made the ADC pay for his work, which I thought was rich. I learned that from Melinda. Me, of course, I did all this gratis and being hosted and paid for all gratis.
Where did the money come from?
But the last biennium, some members did donate to a PayPal account. We never did file with the Board of Elections formally or anything. But yeah, so we only had like less than $100 or something, I think. Maybe it was 200, but not much. And yeah, Travis had us pay, I learned. Which brilliant. And with that also I set up a MailChimp account. Louis has the login info for that. We also have a Gmail and all that. And because sure there'll just be a lot of general questions, I'm automatically copied into emails that come into the general one. but hopefully very soon Louis will start taking over that. He and I will be in touch on that. Then there's about 38 people that we do not have email addresses for right now, and of course, sending out mailers for any sort of meetings or anything would be expensive. So I did send out a mailer to those 38 on Monday. So it should be hitting between now and Saturday in everyone's homes, saying, hey, can you please give us your email address so we don't have to like constantly pay, and this way you can be up to date with everything we're doing. And that sort of leads me to some rule amendments. One of the things, like as I was just like getting everything prepared, I did write up some things I think that we have some holes in with our rules, and just linked in the notes and all that. Nothing like crazy, it's mostly clarifications. Anything else? One is adding the Democratic to our name, because actually the Republicans do have ADCs. So second thing is like we have to have a party headquarters. Just make it that clarifies that if we don't, since we don't probably have the money to pay for rent for a permanent place, it just go to home of the chair. Based on some of the, I'll explain a little bit more in a second, but based on some of the feedback we got from the survey that I sent out, members are by and large okay with their contact information being shared internally with the ADC, and also some restrictions with their constituents. So one thing, and of course this will all be subject to approval by the ADC membership, adding a new section that would say contact information can be shared internally with like phone and email address, then does only address name ED for the general public, because that's also, for all intents and purposes, public record already, subject to a FOIL request to the Board of Elections. One thing is, next one is making the committee chairs ex officio members of the executive committee, so we can all collaborate better. And of course, anyone has any questions, concerns, comments, please just interrupt me. Go ahead on that. One thing is adding a gavel order. So I get hit by a bus, who takes over? Alyssa, God forbid, also gets hit by a bus, who takes over? Louis. Continuing. Therefore. Then clarifying also, because there is sections that switch between chair and executive committee chair, saying that like chair is also executive committee chair, just really clarifying. Getting rid of a reference to section 9 or of the rules of the Kings County Party, which says we have to have these committees. The next one would just be that the committee on membership is the one who will vet people for backfills. So this way, like there's some sort of process. Adding a section, we have no section right now for how to add amendments, so I think something that it would be vetted. Any amendment proposals moving forward would go to the rules committee for vetting, then brought to the full ADC, then ratified by a simple majority, which is how county has their rules. Then allowing for like any meetings of the ADC that are outside of organizing meetings, and also ones that are for filling a vacancy in the assembly member. Those can be sent by email. This way we can save money. And the reason for the difference is because those are the two that are sort of, there's a lot of legal technicalities on, and they have to be done exactly right. So you don't want something that being filed and then being challenged because no one got, some members didn't get the proper notice when we are electing officers or choosing someone to be our nominee for assembly. And similarly, last one is clarification on proxies. There is some competing language between county rules and our rules, so it'd be basically saying organizing meeting and also any meetings to fill a vacancy for assembly member. Those ones you can do electronic. Those ones have to be in proxies. Everything else you can do electronic. Any questions, concerns, comments? Okay, yeah. Because so yeah, that's everything of my stuff. Alyssa, do you have anything to report?
No.
Okay. I also have like the reports here just because as a pro forma thing, because everyone, in case anyone has anything easy copy paste for future agendas. Louis, anything to report?
Nope.
Cool. Well, let's see. Vicky's not here. I will be seeing her tomorrow night at IND, and I'll chat with her about trying to set up a committee with the Board of Elections so we can actually have like a treasury for things. Steve, anything?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing just in general is, I got the email about the policy meeting on November 16th. I mean, I'm sure it'll be a colossal waste of time, but I did wonder if we as an ADC sort of just distribute some info to our members specifically about it, or that was just, I think it came out yesterday, I think.
I don't even know if I got
2
it.
days ago.
No, it came out, wait, today's
I think it went
came
out
out
on
yesterday.
Monday.
Who's
Oh.
it from?
The Brooklyn Democratic Party annual policy
That's like the, okay.
and issues meeting, and help us improve our community. And it's on Zoom.
Yeah. Rachel, I'll forward you a copy.
Okay. I'm just like gonna be disturbed if I don't have it.
Yeah, it's the same day as the IND meeting, so there's been discussion as to whether we bump our meeting up a day or whether we send somebody as like a representative. So I think we'll probably decide tomorrow at our general meeting. But yeah, it's gonna be a waste of time, most likely.
Yeah, I don't see it being super constructive, but I do see it as something like it's just sort of I wouldn't say an educational thing, but we could send out an email saying this is what's happening, this is what they do, if just sort of clarifying what it is, what it is, what it could be, and what it probably is not going to be.
And also, I do see that even if they have any sort of chat open, there's a good chance that also like people, because of how the county party has been helping, or lack thereof, with the race in the 47th council district, there will probably be some feedback given on that.
I didn't even get this thing.
Are you on the county email list?
I should be. I've been on there for like
all of Rodney's press releases about how great she is, because that's the main topic of this email list.
Oh, so maybe like I don't want to be on it.
Yeah,
you probably don't, but
yeah, you probably should, but yeah, it's not the most compelling newsletter, I would say.
Okay, yeah.
You might have, or if you're like me, all the other ones, I'm like, I look at them for like a second and it's like, okay, this is being deleted,
Yeah.
They come out with a press statement.
As long as I'm like still technically on county committee and I'm getting the notices, I'm okay, but yeah, that's weird.
You can also, if you're not on, you can also re-sign up just on the county website, because that's how my mother gets the emails as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I just signed up. I'm on their. I got on their list. I don't think they're sending them out specifically to county committee members.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was my concern. Never mind.
No, you have to. And this is not a voting thing or anything. And of course,
God no.
They always pick a topic, but they didn't even put like what the topic would be, what the policy discussion.
Yeah, I know. I remember going to a lot of these, and they're a colossal waste of time. Okay.
Yeah. I think they do send it. I think it's to all county committee members they have email addresses for, as well as like anyone else who signs on. And like press. But that's it.
My sort of, from being on the NKD Slack channel, my impression is they're going to use it to sort of try to get some discussion or make points, or bring up the sort of usual stuff. But since it's on Zoom and it'll be controlled, I don't see how.
Oh, it's on Zoom? Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that it's really constructive. I'm just saying it's something we could consider just sending out an email to the membership, like parties doing this thing, they're this, they're that, but it is one way of, as a county community member, you're entitled to log on and make your own judgment about what they're doing. Something to that effect. Not like this is going to be a great participatory event for everybody who's on county committee, or we could just leave it, but it was just something it occurred to me when I saw the email.
Yeah, I was thinking of trying to do like maybe some sort of newsletter to our members, and that would like also with like calendar of events of like things like IND, NKD, Brooklyn Young Dems, CVID, they're all doing. I was going to include that, but I was gonna wait until about Saturday, because that'd be when people would start getting them. At the latest, people would be getting the mailer saying like, "Hey, can we get your email address?" This way, it's not saying duplicative emails and stuff. But anything else, Steve?
No.
Okay. Rachel.
I don't think I have anything.
Okay. District leaders, they're not here because of prior commitments. So last thing really, feedback from the survey. I'm not sure if anyone looked at it. I'll go through like the top points on it. With committees, people could check off which ones they want to be on, if any. I generate lists in Google Sheets for all of that. So probably in the next week, I will send out, because I am, as chair, I'm supposed to call the organizational meeting of each subcommittee. I will send out saying like, hey, how about y'all meet on this date? And I'll use my Zoom account. And then first order of business would be y'all have to choose a chair so I can jump off and you all take over. And then they also have to create their own rules and stuff as per our rules. And then when it came to like other committees that can be created, Louis Cox said that of creating a tree committee, which would be basically helping with like cleaning up like shrubbery, like tree debris from like storms, planting. So I said to him, hey, how would you like to go about this? Would you like the ADC to create this, or do you like the executive committee? He said ADC, so he's going to work on a resolution to bring at our next meeting for it to be voted on for creation.
Wait, sorry, I was reading the responses. Somebody wants to make an arborist society of the ADC. Am I hearing that correctly?
Basically, I can forward you the email list if you want. It's interesting.
Or
like,
I mean, isn't there like a public affair, like the community services that must fall into that? Like, I think I want to get through the agenda, but I have some general feedback of like, overcommitment of this and like mission creep with what we have going on here. I know a lot of people who are involved already in IND, NKD, rep your block, all of the stuff. Like I don't think we need to make this more just to satisfy the wants and needs of like a couple of squeaky wheels that we had. I'm of the position of like, we meet when we need to meet, when we need to do business, but like I don't think I know I'm vice chair and I should have more excitement about this, but I think I'm already pretty overcommitted, as like many of us on this call are. So I just want to sort of put that out there before we continue going through the list. And definitely,
and I only brought up
the Shrubbery
the
Society
policy meeting because to send an email, because it is something that's actually direct as a county. We're talking to people about being a county committee member, and this is something that is happening with county committee, even if ultimately we know it's a waste of time. But it is
I think that's like perfectly that's perfectly aligned with the mission of this organization. But I think like entertaining shrubbery requests like that is we need to be respectful of our own time here, and I don't think you need to entertain that. Is my
me as chair, I see it as sort of like I'm supposed to just like guide people, because under like Robert's rules, it's supposed to be sort of guiding on like what your options are. So I said, he says he wants to bring it before the ADC. I can't stop him. Democratic Society, small d. So,
but isn't it not germane?
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
that's
That's, oh, good point. Okay, you're parliamentarian.
yeah.
Yeah, look at me, I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think our existence is really important, and that it's sort of like we're sort of like here for like when we can come together when we're needed. It's sort of like a preemptive activity, I think.
Mhm.
We should probably be asking ourselves with things come up, hey, is there already some kind of structure that this could be done properly
Mhm.
under?
So
Not just that this could be done, but like properly.
yeah. So probably the consensus I think is probably like try to direct Lewis to like maybe move this more into the community service committee. Try to bring it up.
I'm not even sure why we're dealing with it.
Yeah,
It
not
was
germane.
That's
something
the
that was brought up by
consensus.
I don't
one
think it's
member. I'm
germane.
bringing it to
This is a political group.
Yeah.
I
mean, I sort of see our
Maybe-
function is to deal with county committee, and also, if we feel so engaged, to also help Democratic candidates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aside from just not like selecting somebody if there's a vacancy, but supporting them in some way.
So
People
we're not-
within the 50 seconds.
Yeah.
Being official.
But
Yeah.
we're not allowed to do work for the primary though. So
I
that
understand.
complicates
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
I just
I'm
meant in
thinking-
general,
Yes.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think we're all pretty much in agreement here. Like not to speak for the group, I view this more of like the insurance policy. If Joanne gets not hit by a bus, I don't like that example anymore. If Joanne gets elevated to a presidential appointment, and there becomes a vacancy, like just what Rachel, you said, like, being here is really important, but I don't think investing a lot into the day-to-day functions of the group is super important, given that we're all like very involved in other organizations. But Seamus, if you want to direct people to those other organizations, IND is always looking for new members.
Hey, we
And
could-
also,
go ahead.
Seamus, like the stuff you're doing is super important, like getting, the website, like all this stuff established, as chair, like if you think that there's something that you could do to, again, like improve something within the party through this group, I think we're all open to it. And I just want to make sure that that we're not like, oh, this doesn't matter and whatever, like, and that I was gonna say, like, I really appreciate that you hit the ground running and are really trying to hear everybody out and put together something that's functional, really.
Yeah, and I agree, and I also think the other thing that we can, if something pops up, is sort of, I'm not, for lack of a better term, voter education, something informative. I mean, and actually, informally, a lot of people got together for the judicial delegates to select the slate last spring, but if we had been organized then, that would have been actually something as an ADC, like, well, we're getting people to run for judicial delegate or stuff like that. So I definitely think like those kind of things, I think, if there's an opportunity that presents itself for within our domain, and would be why, might be good to, work on if something like that pops up. But yeah, the other stuff, it's like, I don't know, we don't want to go to, like, I know in the 50th, I don't know the last cycle, but previously they've been very, very heavily involved in getting judicial delegates nominated, getting people to run and nominated. I'm talking over the last 5 or 6 years. 50th or 50th, actually, Williamsburg is 50th. Yeah. So, so I think we sort of need to sort of stick. I agree with Melissa, just sort of stick to what we're supposed to do. But if we see an opportunity that presents itself, that's great. We should, do something.
And like, I actually like, and I really do like this feedback, because like, I do have the habit of trying to be a yes man, or at least trying to help guide people into what their options are. And sometimes I need people to also be the stopgap, telling like, this is a terrible idea. So that's why I'm very grateful for all of you.
I don't think it's a terrible idea. It's just not what
Yeah.
shouldn't be within our domain.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
yeah, it's definitely not, you are right in that, like, I just reviewed your email to Lewis, and it was like lovely, and you definitely took his concerns, but like you definitely didn't have to do all that. But we definitely respect, and like that's why you're in this position, so
Yeah.
you're good at this. But yes, we will definitely rein you in and focus us when needed.
much appreciated.
Yeah,
But
I think I just thought of a really good metaphor that I think we've set the table really nicely. And like Seamus, you put like the salad fork where it needs to be, right? Like a lot of people would just be like putting like the fork, and then like I'd be setting the table with the fork and the knife. Okay, if we need to get dinner, we're gonna have it. But like everything's like really out there. We are prepared for like the dinner party that could happen, right? So if we get some food, or when the food's ready, it's like boom, we don't need to do anything else.
Yeah. So with like Lewis, I'll talk to him and try to see like, hey, maybe try to direct this to like committee on like community service, things like that, and let them then try to see where it goes.
And I think if they're, I don't know who it is, but if they're in the 33rd, I feel like in Lincoln's newsletters, he's always got people doing like tree planting and gardening stuff, things like that. So it could be something to direct towards his way or something.
Yeah, I think because he did make mention of the Brooklyn Light Association, so I think he's in 33rd.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'd say so. But then one thing though, sort of with like political action stuff, there is a lot of talk on like voter registration stuff that was in the feedback. And so that'd be also, I think, where it'd be like the I guess it's public affairs or political affairs committees. That'd be somewhere that'd probably be better in their domain. Especially
Is it clear, if I may, is it clear, black and white, our role and responsibility as an ADC? Is there like an actual document?
So here's where it gets interesting. So the rules that we adopted, they were from the previous biennium.
Right.
And back then, it actually first started in 2020. Back then, the rules stated what committees we have to have. That was in the county party rules. Since then, the county party has gotten rid of that section. So there is effectively no need for these committees.
Right.
On paper, they still exist until we get rid of them.
Well, okay. So I think based on what you're saying, my next follow-up is this. We exist because the county exists, right? And the county exists because of the state Democratic Party, right? So, essentially that is the structure. So we operate within the state Democratic Party, under the county, within, and then we represent the ADC, right? So not now, but I'm willing to talk with you offline, Seamus, because for me, I just want to know the black and white of it. Because like, for example, voter registration, does that really fall under us? Is that something we really, and at the same time, what are the boundaries? And for me, that's my focus, is the boundaries of this organization versus every other organization out there. So that's for me, my goal here, because I was parliamentarian last time and we existed just in case. And at the same time, there are things that are happening that I think I want to look into. But again, if this is not the vehicle for it, So, but this is also a great vehicle to get people more and more active and involved, and they have a legit vote and they have a legit place, right? So it's empowering people in a different way, in a legit way within the party, right? So, all right, I'll stop there. But
and sort of to answer your question, also, or your comments, sort of. So when we were first establishing the rules that we currently have, that was back in 2020, pre-pandemic. It was a meeting at Josh Scholar's house, and one of the points that was brought up, I think it was by Josh himself, that a lot of the ADCs and their subcommittees were created in around the 70s or 80s in their rules, is mostly because the Brooklyn Democratic Party at the time was having a lot of issues with outreach to a lot of constituencies on their issues and also to certain demographics, and it was considered a vehicle to try to meet people where they are and on things that are important to them. And so since those sections of the rules are, well, I think Democratic Party has grown quite a bit since the past 50 years. I'm not, one could argue that the committees there are no longer relevant, which could, I don't know what was said behind closed doors with the county party, but that would be my assumption as to why they got rid of the committees, and or it's just because a lot of them just felt it was an undue burden. So, but I think that like part of the committees we have are just because they want our outreach.
Yeah, they definitely seem like legacy kind of committees. I think if I'm like clicking through them, I think really what we need is probably like rules and regs, because that's like what establishes us. And then membership, which I would like deputize to do the voter registration, judicial delegate stuff, county committee recruitment, stuff like that. And then the public meetings one, which would be like the group in charge of organizing when we needed to do a public meeting. And like I said at the top, like bare bones but effective. You don't have, the committee on public relations. I signed up for intergroup because I thought, not knowing what that was, I was like, oh, that's probably the best way to like get IND, build the bridge between like IND and NKD and all the other things that are going on. But like, I honestly have no clue what that means at all. But I don't know if we're proposing to like cut the committees or do something with them. I know I recognize also that we have taken like us way off the agenda. So feel free to put us back on the agenda if that's helpful.
It's all very good feedback. And also like, I would go so far as say like, maybe we do at like whenever we do a next full ADC, we say like, hey, which committees can we get rid of? Like all intents and purposes, really. So, yeah.
Okay.
If everyone's cool with that, like sort of proposal. Okay, so yeah. Next meeting we try to trim the fat. And then actually with meeting times, with the poll or with the survey, it said that like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays between 7 and 9 are most popular. Only real request was like probably make sure they don't interfere with IND, NKD, and community board meetings, which completely fair because also we are all overcommitted. Then Jason Shelley actually raised a good point. Like we don't need monthly meetings, so like I was thinking like bi-monthly. So like next, I'd say, well, I'm going to suggest, and I want subject to this body's approval, that we do our next one just in November because December the holidays will just be insane. And afterward, then we just of course meet every other month.
I would even go like quarterly meetings, which seem better to me. Again, getting to the fact that we all have a lot going on, but also there's not like so much to discuss and decide. So I feel like we sort of met for Q4, maybe we kick off in January in the new year. But yeah, would love other people's takes also.
And this is the full, not the executive?
Yeah. Executive,
Okay.
I'd say we only have to meet like once every other month or something, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think we should have a full meeting unless we have a specific purpose.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got somebody who has something, like politically educational. I was actually just looking at the ADC 50 website, which unfortunately nobody's updated for 2 years. But looking at like what they did in the past, they had like well, the other thing is that the 50th is different because there's no real political clubs there.
Yeah.
So they had going way back, pre Emily Gallagher, they had Joe Lenthal speak. They had people getting people to run for the judicial convention, legislative update from Julio Salazar.
Can you send the link? I'm curious. I'd like to poke around too.
Yeah, sure. Here, I'll do it.
In the chat. Thank you. Yeah, I think you're totally right. Like 50 doesn't have like in the 52nd, just off the top of my head, we have IND, CBID, NKD, all with like vast majorities of their 100% of IND's membership is in the 52nd, and then tons of NKDers live here. Like we're not lacking for
Yeah, the
organizing
50th
here.
actually, they use their ADC also to recruit people to run for county committee from Rep Your Block. It's a different kind of group, so they did do more educational stuff and outreach stuff because there was nobody else in the district doing it.
Yeah.
And I do see also that y'all make good points, and also this January would be probably like also the peak time to try to say, hey, we have people for county, anyone who want to be on county committee next time, or know somebody who would, people don't want to do it, somebody who would, also like, hey, we got just delegates coming up, we can then tie it into ours.
Yeah, we'll also be, oh wait, I don't know if you can, well, I was going to say we'll be petitioning for the presidential election in January and stuff like that. So there'll be like action items that we can recruit people for. But I kind of agree with Steve, like we should consider meeting in January, but if we don't actually have anything to meet about, we don't have to meet.
Yeah, I think having meetings with nothing specific is worse than not having meetings. And unfortunately, because county is sort of like, I don't know the right word, but not really a functioning, not even like a bad functioning organization now, just like not functioning. It's sort of, it does mean county committee members have very limited amounts of things that they could do as county committee members. But I think like some educational stuff is something that we could consider. Having a meeting and have a couple of speakers address, any kind of election issues, or that would be worthwhile having a meeting for. But otherwise, just have a meeting for the sake of having a meeting. Then we're starting to act like county. Actually, that's not true because they don't even have meetings. But
at a minimum, though, there is going to be a primary, it looks like, for the assembly members. So we can always try to do like some sort of
right
there too.
And who is that guy? Does anybody know?
He's a friend of mine, actually.
Oh, but he's never run for anything. He's never published anything about politics. He's never actually made a campaign donation to anybody. I checked online. It's like,
well, Steve, he popped up at an IND meeting on Zoom once, so that makes him qualified to run. So.
Okay.
All right, who is this?
Okay. What?
What's his name?
Scott Burlow?
Budo.
I had all the right letters, not the wrong establishment.
So I think I have to go a little bit early because Dolly is really needing to go out. I thought I could stall her till 8, but it's not happening. Is there anything that you would need from me?
No, nothing to think of that weekend. Something comes up, we have each other's numbers. Emails.
Emergency, Parlaimentarian emergency. No, and my phone is like out of juice, or I would just like get on my phone while I'm walking.
Actually, I do have a parliamentary inquiry. Am I qualified to be Speaker of the House?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Just kidding.
I'm not, because you're probably the best option they have. Let's be honest, but that's another day. Okay. I think the last thing I want to just say is if we take the long-term view on this committee, that would be my personal preference in terms of just if we do it right and we learn all the ins and outs and all the legalities so that we protect ourselves in the best possible way, then we can rinse and repeat and share that with everybody else. So because that's really what it's about. If this is truly the foundation of the party, it would be nice to build an educational foundation, and then we can share that. So, but it doesn't have to be an emergency, and there's nothing we have to do for tomorrow or next month or for the rest of the year, probably, right? So I'm just happy to keep in touch with y'all, and if we get more people that want to volunteer on the intricacies of this ADC, great. Truth is, I don't
I
have.
wouldn't hold your breath on that.
No, you never know. Some people
Yeah.
like the esoteric nature of it. Personally, I no longer have any outstanding commitments to anything politics related, right? Right now it's to Brooklyn College, my son, my family. So, for me, this is really the only Democratic Party thing going on. My only other pet peeve is just figuring out what we're doing with the poll workers, because I've been doing it since I was 18, and it does feel kind of weird that I've done pretty much every job under the sun, and switching parties. I'm blocked out from working. It's actually pretty funny and sad. So, Seamus and I were talking the other day about that, but there are a lot of incompetent poll workers, and I find it ludicrous that, for somebody like me with my experience, we all know they don't care. So, I
Are
would.
you able to be a Republican poll worker, even if you are a Democrat?
So here's the best part. The Republicans stopped hiring non-Republican poll workers two to 4 years ago. So that blocked me out because, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but 4 to 6 years ago, I teamed up with Jesse Pierce, because my father's still the male Republican district leader for 52. And it was like a little goal to try to get good, decent poll workers working in the 52, in the 52nd, at every poll site. And so we would partner with Jesse and say, look, we're just going for competence. So we started with the poll site coordinators and the early voting sites and all that. But again, that requires a willingness to work with the other side. Now my father doesn't care, right? He's just happy for anybody. But that was also a time where he could appoint non-Republicans. Ted Gore, the Kings County boss, apologized to me. He's like, look, I wish you would switch back. But it is what it is. So it's something that no one really cares about until the day of the election. And then when just shit hits the fan, everybody wants to complain. But the truth of the matter is the power resides within the two parties. And nobody wants to take responsibility, but it's really the two Kings County bosses that are in charge of our poll sites. So anyway, if at the end of the day, it's not worth any time. But one day, if somebody cares, we'll talk about it. So anyway, that's it.
Cool. I didn't know that your dad was a district leader on the other side, but I just wanted to make my opinions known on the directory front before we hop off. And I also have to hop off at 8 because the New York Liberty are playing game 4, so I have to tune in.
Yeah.
But it looks like you said most people are okay to share their email addresses and contact information within the ADC. I just want to make sure that those lists don't get sold, and I want to be respectful of privacy stuff. But I'm sure you've been thinking about that as well. And then in terms of communication preferences, I think just regular email instead of Google group, because you're going to have a lot of people accidentally unsubscribing from the Google group, which we know very well from IND happens all the time. And then on the other side, you'll have people using it for not germane things. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in there, and would love other folks' thoughts as well.
I'm with you on the Google groups, that it can go off in directions that you can't really, you can police, but it's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
I more put that stuff in the notes, just more as a here's the quick summary, because I'm sure no one wanted to go through all 40 or some odd responses. What I was more thinking is just generic newsletter and Slack it for anyone who wants to be honest. This way it's an opt-in thing. Then with sharing contact information, there is a way actually in Google Sheets to disable any sort of copy paste, highlighting, anything like that. So basically it's whatever you see on your screen. So if you want to email someone, you have to hand write it or you have to hand dial it. So
yeah, that works for me.
Yeah, so, but I was also gonna, whenever we do have a next meeting, I was gonna also bring these to the full membership and also have it be sort of an, opt-out system. So if someone says, I don't want my info out there at all, like within the ADC, it just says John Smith.
I don't know. I think that's getting too far in the weeds
well,
with the
fair
members.
enough.
I mean, I think it's like,
Yeah,
we establish an email list, we use it, that's it. I don't think,
I meant more.
I
for, like,
can't
the
see
sharing
other
internally.
people on county committee like, oh, I think I want to email all my fellow county committee members about this or that. And because if they do, it's going to be something that's irrelevant to county committee anyways,
Mhm.
So I too, I have to go. I promise.
Yeah,
I also have a
go.
dog that's waiting to go out who's like, how come you're home and you're not taking me? So, but thanks for Seamus and Lou also for doing the filings and all that stuff. I think that's, to be honest, that's some of the most important stuff. So and you've done it and you've started it, so that's great.
Well, first off, thank you all for the good feedback and all that, is keeping me like in line. With that motion, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And I'll second it. Very good.
All in favor?
Okay.
Have a good night, y'all.
Okay. Take care.
7:56.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
Take care.